if the halving number is 100, all right, if that's the target, we say, all right, well, where are we today? We're at, 23,000. Where should we get by the time the halving occurs? Could we be back to 50, 60,000? It's a pretty good guess. Then as we approach the halving, we start to accelerate into the target, and then we parabolic past it. The fair value is 100K per Bitcoin. How close we stay to fair value is the question. Do I think we get there by the end of this year? Probably not, but could be surprised.
The summer bull run in cryptocurrencies will begin, according to Mark Yusko, founder and CEO of Morgan Creek Capital Management, in Q2 2023. The crypto summer is predicted to begin in the second quarter of this year, according to Mark Yusko in this video. He discussed how the American interest rate system now in place has the power to shift the direction of Bitcoin growth, from negative to positive. According to prior performance, the market always anticipates to have 9 months before that, which is often when summer begins. Housing is a 4-year event in the Bitcoin lifestyle, and the next calving will take place in the second quarter of next year. Despite the fact that Yusko predicts that the U.S. Federal Reserve will not soon lower interest rates, the markets often foresee federal actions effectively. That implies that even a slowdown or stop in interest rate increases would be seen as signs of the impending turnaround. This would provide a favorable dynamic across all risk assets, including cryptocurrency. We will now begin the video, in which Mark Yusko will talk about the situation of the Bitcoin market at the moment.
It was a horrific market, right? Bonds had a horrific market, stocks had a horrific market, crypto had a horrific market. Everything was negative. And what happens when everything's negative, people start selling for tax purposes towards the end of the year. Then what happens is you have to wait 30 days for wash sale rules, and then you can buy these things back. And so what happens, it used to happen all the time, Giovanni, in January. So everyone would do their tax loss selling in December. They'd wait their 30 days, and sometime in January, they would buy these assets back, and you'd get this big move in the things that had done the worst the year before. What I'm trying to say is big short squeeze, hugely overbought. Bitcoin's as overbought as I've ever seen it. That is not a condition to start a long-term bull run, right? That's a condition for short-term weakness and kind of a retracement, and then the start. But the pattern we need to look for, and we talked a little bit about this last time, is even though there's chop in spring, what you're looking for is a series of higher lows. Now, you'd like higher highs too, but that's not as important as higher lows. If you keep making higher lows, that means there's accumulation pressure in the market. And I think, we're going to be range bound in this, call it 20 to 24 range for a while. Then we'll be closer to that summer period. And I think that's just time, place, and events. April-ish. And again, seasonally, Q2 and Q4 are the most positive for Bitcoin. So it's setting up to have a pretty nice move April, May, June this year. The Fed clearly is not loosening, right? They're not tightening as quickly, but they're still doing QT. They're still shrinking their balance sheet, and they're still raising rates. But the pboc has unleashed a huge wave of liquidity. I mean, they are flooding their market, and Chinese stocks are up a ton. Chinese markets are rallying. Economic activity is surging, and China drives liquidity around the world. So used car prices are now plummeting because there's more cars coming in, China's reopening, all that good stuff. So I think by the end of this year, CPI is going to be close to, it could be zero, it could be negative month over month, quarter over quarter. But, trailing numbers probably around 2%. That's not a situation where you need to be tightening. There will be a tailwind, I think, for digital assets. The market is saying by the middle of this year, the Fed's going to be cutting. Now, I think that's too aggressive. I don't think that's going to happen. It's possible, certainly possible, but I don't think it's going to happen. What I do think is very likely, is the Fed signaling we're good, but that will be interpreted as we're going to cut, and then risk assets will explode again. The last phase of the bear market is the toughest part. My belief is we start out of that cycle a little bit earlier. I think the market always anticipates the halving. So if the halving is, maybe you're right, maybe it is March, April, but sometime in that Q1-ish zone of 2024, 9 months before that is usually when the beginnings of summer start to, the crocuses start to pop and the buds are. This year, there's not going to be a lot of taxes paid because last year was so crappy. So I think there's not going to be a lot of downside pressure in March, April this year. So my guess is we'll probably start earlier rather than later. We'll probably have an early summer as opposed to a late summer, would be my guess. Don't wait. Buy. Buy some today. Buy some tomorrow. Buy some the next day. Buy some next week. Buy some next month. Don't buy it all at once. Pick a number, right? I say, 3 to 5%, whatever the number is. If you're younger, that number can be higher. I'm talking a 3 to 5% core position in Bitcoin, higher if you're younger. That's what I'm talking about. Now, beyond that, you want to invest in Ethereum as a platform that builds out the infrastructure around the digital future. Great. Law of small numbers says Ethereum will outperform. Right? It's a smaller asset base. If there's a bull market, it will likely outperform. And history tells us the smaller market cap assets outperform in bull markets. So if you want to own a core asset forever, accumulate Bitcoin. If you want to have a portfolio of other technology investments that you think have a higher upside potential, own some other things. Own Ethereum, own Avalanche, own Polkadot, own Cosmos.
In general, there are a lot of predictions about the future trajectory of the market, and since the movement of the market is dependent on a lot of different variables, it is difficult to determine with precision which of the possible trajectories is more likely. However, Mark Yusko and other Bitcoin Max proponents have strong confidence that this will be the year of Bitcoin. How do you feel about Mark Yusko's most recent forecast? In the comments box below, please share your thoughts and personal forecasts. Please be sure you like, subscribe, and enable post alerts. Thanks for stopping by.